So, with like there's so the Insulate Britain. I mean, is there anything about that you would like to touch upon about you had big disagreements potentially, I think, with maybe like the tactics that Insulate Britain used.
Well, yeah, obviously I'm going to have disagreements with them because I live in Thurrock and that's the place that you targeted the most and the place that Just Up Oil continue to target the
Yeah.
most. So my community have lost out on so much money. You've basically held us to ransom for months. And we, as people, we can't make these decisions. We have no power. People here in Perth have no political power at all. You're kind of almost bullying us in a way because we can't get to work. Just Abroad now dug up all of our roads. They've dug tunnels underneath our roads. We can't get our bins emptied. Far, if there's traffic in Farrak, unfortunately, because of the way the roads are, we just can't get anywhere. And as a community, it's not fair. We haven't done anything wrong. We can't really do anything, and we're the ones that are
Mhm.
getting all the. No, and this is impacting the government. This is impacting normal people. It's me, my parents, my
Mm.
neighbours. This isn't fair enough. And the fact that we can't go and drag you off the roads by your hair, really annoying. We obviously want to, because you're ruining our livelihoods. Is really frustrating for us because we just have to sit there and watch you guys ruin our livelihood, ruin our community,
Mm.
and it's
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I genuinely hate the fact that it has come to this. It has come to the fact that disruption is almost like our last resort at this moment in time. I thought the world would change just through education. I thought the world, like I basically went from like someone that went to McDonald's and KFC and didn't have any political interest whatsoever until I was about like 33. So I'm 37, and then I saw Cowspiracy, and it's like, holy crap, what the fuck's going on in the world? Like, we're completely destroying it, and it's like animal culture is so inefficient as a way of like feeding us. So like if and this is a bit of a tangent, I will get back onto what you said, but if we switch to a plant-based diet, we will reduce the current land that we use for agriculture by 75%. So then with that extra land that we freed up, we can rewild, so we can grow more trees and all these sort of things that will reduce carbon. So, like we hit 40 degrees C recently because we there's too many CO2 emissions and methane emissions and greenhouse gases in our atmosphere that's trapping heat in. That's the reason like the temperature's slowly increasing is because those CO2 gases trap the heat of the sun in rather than just being released and bounce back into the sky. Like when the ice caps melt, the ice reflects as this big mirror and reflects like the sun back out into the out into space basically. As those get smaller, that sun now goes into the water and then warms the water, and then it starts this almost like exponential feedback loop of like the ice gets smaller, more sun goes in, and then with the trees, like the more trees we cut down for like animals to graze, which is like the majority of what happens in the Amazon rainforest, to like grow soybeans to feed animals or just for them to graze on. um, like the less trees that we have sucking in carbon, like the worse it gets. So like I said, like I thought change would happen just by education, and I just wanted to go out to the public and not cause any nuisance and just educate people and share this information, and hopefully we just gradually change as a society and move towards like more renewable sort of energies, more renewable way of living, more renewable transportation. But it's like we can't put that responsibility on every single individual. Like it is, I believe it is our government's responsibility to making sure that we have clean energy, reliable energy. I think it should be back in the public sector, and all these sort of things. And so Just Stop Oil delivered a letter to 10 Downing Street a month before they took action and just said, so their demand is basically no new licensing for oil drilling. Basically, it's like all the scientists, like the best scientists in the world that are studying this, are saying, like obviously we can't cut off fossil fuels today, but we've got to transition. And one of the ways of transitioning is like using the reserves that we have left. So for the UK, apparently we've got about 8 years left in reserve, basically, to keep our energy supplies going on fossil fuels. And in that time, like, switch our subsidies and move to green energy or renewable energy, any energy that basically doesn't cause our planet to become unsustainable. Um, and the government's, yeah, our government's not listening to us. I mean, our government are corrupt as hell. Like Priti Patel accepted a £100,000 donation from an oil company. Again, you can look that up. That's easy to see. Like Richie Sunak, the richest, politician in history. He just cares about making himself and his rich mates richer. Like they don't care. They really don't care. All they care about is money. And they are licensing 40 new oil drills, and every single top scientist is saying that's a death sentence. Like more CO2 in our atmosphere is going to result in bigger temperatures. Like, have you seen like the flooding that's going on in Pakistan at this moment in time?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and that's down to like these countries like ourselves that are just. I know obviously like we only do like 1% or whatever it is of the total, but like 1% is 1%, and it's still our responsibility, and we still got to take care of it. And if we were to like potentially do a carbon neutral society, we can then teach other countries how to do the same and help other countries do the same. I see this as like a whole team game effort, but like people always say like, I'll go to Russia, go to China because they're doing the worst. So, well, I don't live there, and my country isn't doing a good enough job as it is. So I'd rather actually just stay in the country I was born in, sort that out, and once that's sorted, then potentially I'll go off. So yeah, it has come down to sadly these like disrupting the oil industry as a way of basically making national news, like and hopefully having these conversations. Like I hope we've just have a very civil conversation where we can share our own different opinions and perspectives, and then I think that's the way like progress happens. Like when we talk to people and we try to move forward together as a society. We don't have to agree on everything, but like I think we can all agree that everyone should basically have a roof over their head, should have access to water, should access to food, and then like once you've got those essentials to live, if you want to earn more, yeah, like have a society where you can work and like those people can earn more and do more, etc. Compared to someone that's like, what, I don't really care, I'm just happy like this basic sort of living.
Yeah, I get you. I just don't get why you're not targeting Downing Street and you're targeting a normal working class community where none of us are wealthy. A lot of us are self-employed. We rely, especially our gypsy and traveller communities, because we've got a massive one here, like loads. We're not those rich people that you don't like in Downing Street. We're normal working class people that just want to go to work and put the food on the table. And you're not targeting them, you're targeting us. And that's where I think it's wrong. I don't. If you guys want to do civil action, great. Glue yourself to Downing Street or whatever, like the gates, or lock yourself to the gates of Downing Street. Don't block our roads, dig up our roads, because talk about the cost of living crisis. The biggest help for people in the cost of living crisis is the local council. The help that we have for people in my community, the vulnerable people that need support, when there is a lot of us here, just because of the economics of our community. That money that's supposed to go to that on our services is now being used to police Just Stop Oil and Insulate Britain. That money that we're paying to help the most vulnerable in our community, improve our schools, improve our education, improve our local services, now isn't being used for local people. It's being used to pick up after you guys, and that's not fair.
No, that's not fair. I would say it's not fair that our government isn't doing their job correctly. I don't think it's fair that our government isn't looking after us. Like I don't think the police basically should be used like on the resources that they're being used at. And I think, like from my perspective, I think the government should have just done what we told them to do, which is part of their own manifesto in the letter that we gave them. But we gave them an ultimatum. We said, do your job, which is your job. That's what we, people have voted you in for. Or we're going to be left with no choice but to take these actions. And sadly, like, like obviously we're living in the past. Like what happened? Not we're living in the past. Sorry, we're living in the present. And but we're trying to be inspired by the past and like things that have worked in the past. Like when education has failed, acts of civil resistance and civil disobedience and direct action. So the fact that like we are literally targeted. Well, I'm not. I'm not. Again, I'm not a member. Well, I'm a. I'll be a happy participant of Just Stop Oil, but I'm not a spokesperson for Just Stop Oil. Just for clarification, I've lost my trail of thought now. Like what they are doing is like we've gone to Downing Street. Like I've been to Downing Street loads. I've gone to Downing Street. I've blocked outside 10 Downing Street. I've glued myself to the road outside Downing Street. They can ignore it. They can just ignore it. They really can. They can just walk by. They can just ignore that all day long. But they can't ignore blocking an oil because obviously that impacts our whole society. So the point that we do this is like, just do your job. Like we'll stop doing this immediately. We'll get out the road. We'll leave everyone to get back to doing what they want to be doing. I don't want to be impacting anyone's lives, but you need to do your job first. And yeah, that's basically where we're at. And I am genuinely sorry. Like I don't know if you will take this as sincere or not. I'm genuinely sorry about disrupting people's lives. It really is the last thing I want to do. Like I just want to live, hang out with my friends, listen to music, read, and not harm or impact anyone. I genuinely hate it. But like if you have any other suggestions about like what we can be doing, because but the other thing as well is like we win, like the government does their job when we as a collective come together. So like the reason like potentially there's so many disagreements in society is because like our press is run by the Tories. Basically it's a right wing sort of like the institution. Just to be a journalist you have to have a degree, and you usually have to do like a non-paid internship for about a year, 2 years. There's not many working class people that can do that, really. And so those are all the journalists. Those are all the people that are influencing so many people. I'm not sure if you've seen Rupert, the Rupert Murdoch dynasty. It's on BBC iPlayer. It's a 3-parter. It's really good. Tells you about like whoever the son has wanted to win to be the prime minister. They've been the prime minister for the last 30 or 40 years because they have so much influence. And they're responsible for like, all these culture wars that potentially we're having, and we're like bickering about these small things that I'm not saying they're not important, but like compared to climate change and what's coming down the road from that, like that's like almost like our most important thing right now. If our temperature keeps on getting hotter and hotter and hotter, people are going to be displaced. Like the water levels will rise where like people along coastal towns will just be underwater, so they'll have to move. We're potentially looking at like 1 billion climate change refugees in the next like 10, 20 years or so. I don't know if you remember when like it was like 10,000 Syrians like moved throughout Europe like a few years ago. Like Germany took in quite a lot, and like that caused like mayhem. And we're talking about like what 1,000 times bigger numbers. So I mean, that's the reason why people are taking these drastic actions. Like, no, all the people under the tunnels, they don't want to be under those tunnels at all. Like, they hate it. Like, none of these people that I know like get any enjoyment disrupting people. Like when I did Insulate Britain, by the time I did it the second time round, I felt like I was going to be sick every single time I was going out onto the road. Because like I'm just going to be sat there and people are going to go absolutely mad at me, and they're completely right. They're completely justified to go mad at me because they're not the ones causing the problem. But like by doing what we did, we managed to stay on the mainstream media for almost like 2-3 months in a row, and then that gives that opportunity to potentially have conversations like this. I mean, like I have a YouTube channel of 8 subscribers, so this isn't exactly going to be seen by many people. Obviously, feel free to do with this video as you wish. But like that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing. But guys, I can't really say any more than like I am genuinely sorry about disrupting like you and your town and your village and everything. Like no one's getting any enjoyment. If I had a lot of money, I'd literally give it to like the people I'm disrupting for causing their daily. But I don't really. I live on very limited means.
Yeah, I think it's been a good discussion. I feel like we need more discussions on the media. Like, the GMBs. I know obviously I do GMB, but I've never been on to speak about this topic. They have, random people do it, but they never have a conversation between the people that are actually directly impacted. So people from my community in particular, because here in Thurrock we have been the most targeted out of anybody. And the protesters themselves, it's just people that aren't involved, people that live in the nice places of London that you guys aren't going into. That's what's frustrating. I think, if you had a conversation between Just Up or spokesperson or one of their main activists and somebody that lives in my community, it's not necessarily me, but potentially from communities, I think you'd have probably a much better conversation, a much more knowledgeable conversation.
Well,
than the likes of Christo or whatever. Like they're not really involved and they don't experience this in the way that we do.
no, of course, no, exactly. These are all these presenters like Julia Hartley Brewer, etc., etc. Like they're all completely privileged, like privileged from day one of their lives, probably born into wealthy families. All university educated, like very very wealthy. Like they live in a completely different world. Like, and then they try to represent the working class. Like who? It's like who are they kidding? But they do. They convince some people. Like the third person I shared a cell with in Wandsworth was this painter and decorator, working class family, like painter and decorator. But he's like voted Conservatives all his life. And it's like, mate, like this party does not give a shit about you. They're not looking after you in the slightest. And
How is he in prison?
a restraining order again. He had a disagreement with his like missus, and again, well, I'm only hearing it from one side of the story. I haven't heard it from her side of the story. So like, but from the time that I was in here with, like, he was cool. He's not like a guy I'd usually hang out with, but like we message each other still. Because he's still inside, so I try and send him an email from time to time and see how he's doing. And he says like, oh, if your ears are burning, that's because I'm talking about you. Like, keep on doing what you're doing and stuff, but like, don't come back here and things like that. But what was it? I personally have like an idea for an organisation that would just target. It would literally the only targets are billionaires, and it would only.
I think you should target the more privileged communities and not the working class ones.
But I'm saying like, yeah, if you ever fancy getting involved, we're in contact now anyway, aren't we? So I could give you like a sort of like a blueprint of like my sort of idea, and if you feel like there's anything like you would like to get involved with on it, it literally would be the focus would just be billionaires like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, etc., etc., and target them in any way, shape, or form, and like bring the focus. It's like these are the people that are causing the most damage, like these greedy billionaires who are hoarding resources. Like money, it's not like some infinite resource. It's finite, really. And if some people have got like billions, trillions, like BlackRock and like Vanguard, the two wealthiest like finance companies in the world, they're like worth over like $13 trillion in assets and everything. It's like they're the third richest. Like if they were a country, they'd be the third richest country in the world. It's these people that are causing this just huge, vast, like the working class, in my opinion, like in today's age, like minimum wage should be like 20-25 pounds an hour onwards for whatever job you're doing. Like people can't get by on. I don't even know what the minimum wage is now, like £10 an hour or so.
It's like £6 for my age group.
Really?
Yeah, I was on.
So that's criminal.
I've just left this minimum wage job. I was on like £6.50 an hour, I think.
Really? What was that as?
Oh, I worked at KFC.
Okay.
And when I started, when I was 16, 17, it was £4.20 an hour.
Oh yeah. So very first. I'm old. I'm, well, 37. So anyone above
But this is
37.
like maybe like 2 years ago. That's what I'm saying. This is
Okay, you're
recent.
right. Yeah, okay. First ever job I had, I was paid £2.50 an hour, but that was 23 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, like how you can't get by on
That's
£6
that's
whatever.
£4.20 an hour
Mm,
at KFC. It would cost me an hour's wages just
mm.
to get my bus to work.
It's
That's a
ridiculous.
10-minute bus trip away. A
Exactly.
whole
That's
hour's
ridiculous.
worth of wages.
So like what are you working on at the moment?
Obviously I do a lot of commentary. I'm just at uni at the minute, so trying to
And
focus on that. I'm writing a book,
what, what are you studying?
uh,
And what's your book about then?
business, and my book is called Education or Indoctrination, and
Okay.
it's a cool little book.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Best of luck with that. Like, yeah, I'd love to write a book. I'm dyslexic and I just like
Same.
write.
I did it. That's why I wanted to do it.
No, good for you then. But yeah, it just takes me absolutely forever to write anything.
Oh, same.
So like I usually like I have to do about 4 or 5 drafts before it's like the version I'm happy with. Like get everything down on paper in my head and then just tidy it up type thing. So, but writing a book would probably take me years. Um, all right. I'm going to let you go because I think I've had you on for about as long as you said you would come on for. Is there anything else you'd like to add, like to say before we completely wrap up?
No, I think I'm all good.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having this conversation. It started as like a clickbait sort of like title. So basically, if you see me on social media, I'm very that's what I'm kind of about. I'm a bit of a I don't know like escalator, clickbaiter. But then I try to encourage then to have these conversations, and then like regardless who I'm up against, I like to think we can have a civil conversation. And so I really appreciate you taking your time to come on. Um, I hope that cleared up a few things. Yeah, I've got your contact details. So if I ever get round to writing my manifesto for my so the movement's called Bob. If you want to know, beware of billionaires. So it's the Bob movement, and yeah, it's just going to target billionaires. So any billionaires out there watching, beware. We are coming for you. Okay. All right. Well, Sophie, absolute pleasure talking
Yeah.
to you. You have a good day. And until next time. Okay.
You too. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. All right. Bye bye. Bye bye. All right. What do I do now? Cool. Right. Um, that's all. Yeah. So all done. All done for that. That's the first ever edition of Tim Talks. Thank you to my guest Sophie. Apparently, yeah, there was some like glitches with the technology to begin with. So I apologise for that. Um, and yeah, we'll see if I can get any more guests. I'm sure I can. I can goad a lot of people on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and stuff. So we'll see if they'll come along. But peace out, everyone. Have a good day. Have a good weekend, and stay safe out there. All right. Bye bye.